Bah! SJC here, and we're back with a movie review. The Witch. Directed by newcomer Robert Edgars, and written by him as well. Edgars come from a background of production designing on a lot of shorts and videos, and also was a costume designer and art director, and lo and behold, this is his first film as a full-blown directorial debut. So, wow. So who's in this film? Ralph Ineson, Anya Taylor-Joy, Kate Decky, Harvey Scrimshaw, Ellie Gringer, Lucas Dawson, Julian Richens, and Bathsheba Garnett. And everyone else, I think that's everyone actually, but if there's anyone else, check down below. So what's this film about? Well, basically, it's taking place in the 17th century. A Puritan family lives alone on the edge of a New England wilderness, and all of a sudden their infant son disappears and their daughter is suspected. So what's this film about? Well, it takes place during the 17th century, and it's about a Puritan family who was cast out from their New England settlement, and now they are living alone on the edge of the wilderness. And all of a sudden their infant son disappears, and then things break down, and it's crazy. So what did I think? Well, first off, holy smokes, as a first-time director, he has the chops for the shots, the soundtrack, and wow, the acting here is superb as well. So, before I even start, the acting, the shots, the soundtrack is amazing. I mean, as a director, you really have to know how to really direct your cast to really bring up the script up and just to really show what's happening, and then you have to line up the shots to really create the atmosphere, the soundtrack. Holy smokes. Like, before I watched this, I heard about how it was compared to It Follows and Babadook from last year. I watched It Follows, haven't seen Babadook, and it is similar in the sense where it does things differently. Like, a lot of praise for Babadook and It Follows was that it was different from your typical horror genre, and The Witch is here. The Witch is the same here. It is mind-boggling in a sense where it really sets up a lot in the beginning shots, where the mood, you know something daunting is out in the woods, and when it finally rears its ugly head, you go like, whoa, things are gonna go down now. And the soundtrack really lends itself, as in it sets up all these scenes that may or may not have something that will come out and scare you or shock you or what have you. But how it does it here is that even when things doesn't happen, the tension leading up to that nothing happening scene is still worth it. I feel that sometimes some horror films have a tendency to really like troll you in the sense where like, oh, we're setting it up. Like, he's going off alone, the music is tense, nothing happens, and you're just like, really? Why? But here, sometimes when that happens, you're just like, so invested into the atmosphere and these characters, and you know what's gonna go down. You're just like, man, that was crazy. And also, soundtrack wise, it's very heavily dependent on in terms of building the atmosphere, and it's done great. A lot of long shots. It sets up a false sort of like security, and also lighting. Like, lighting is crazy because I mean, in the 17th century, everything is lamps. There's no, bright scenes when it's dark. When they have to go outside, it's like a dinky lamp, and it's like they're shrouded in darkness, and it really builds the atmosphere and vibe, and it's just really great. Like, definitely this isn't your typical jump scare crazy like whoa, but rather it's a build up. And the payoff, for me anyway, I felt that it was great. Like, when everything really went down, you're just like, holy smokes, this is actually happening. I feel like that's more of the horror, as in like, wow, rather than, wah! That, I don't like jump scares. It's just a cheap way of just, BAM! Like, then you get scared and all that, and it's just not cool. But, like, the payoff and the morbid, like, holy crap. Like, that stuff, worth it. So now that we talked about the directing, the soundtrack, and the cinematography, let's talk about the cast. The cast is top notch. Because, I mean, really, Anya Taylor-Joy was just great at Thomason. You can really see the desperation throughout the film with her, and just just trying to live life. And then Ralph Ineson as the dad is just like, he's like that, really trying to live life, trying to make things happen is what's going on here. And everyone in the cast does really well. The two twins are hilarious and annoying, and they really do it in a way where it's like, it's very atypical of kids their age to be like that, and to have the story interweave with their acting and ability, it's done really well. Harvey Scrimshaw as the boy of the family, Caleb, he has some really great scenes, and it's just like, his stoicness is just really great as well. And also we have Kate Decky as Catherine the mom. She really is a woman who just looks really like she's gonna freak out, and it really works. And yeah, definitely the cast really works. I really loved it. And visual designs, I mean, costuming, everything. I mean, I'm always a sucker for things that don't take place in the present day. I sort of really love the whole inviting audience to really join into the lives of these people back in the day, and it really was done well, and it was just great. And just great. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I really loved how it was paced. Like, the characters was great. The systematic logicalness behind it all is great. As a horror film, it's like when it's logical and it's not just dumb and things still go down, it's just like, whoa, man. So yeah, I think the only thing I would say to people thinking of watching this is like, are you expecting a jump scare film, or are you really wanting scares all over the place, or you want a more, I guess this could be more of an artsy sort of horror where it's like really slow in terms of just setting up things. It's like a lot slower than your typical movies, where it really sets up the vibe of the relationships and the atmosphere of where they're living, settings, and the character relationships within themselves, and just a lot slower in pacing. So pacing could be an issue for people that are wanting like a sort of a fast pace. Oh, let me get to that scare. Let me see if I can take this. Is that scary? I think this is more of a dawning on you, sort of like, holy smokes, this is happening. So yeah, now in terms of the plot, I would say it's rather interesting, because I would say, yes, this is your stereotypical Hollywood view of Christians back in the day, where they are very fanatical about praying and faith and all that. I mean, sure, I would love to see a authentic sort of portrayal of Christians or Catholics back then, but how would I know? Because it seems like, you know, entertainment has sort of blew up in the sense where, like, they're crazy people. These are not normal people, and it's like that sort of type. But as a 21st century Christian looking back in the day, I would really see that it was very superstitious, like praying and sin and faith and trust were all these words that we're throwing around, and it wasn't a personal thing. It was just like, you did something wrong, so it's because of your sin. You're not telling me the truth because it's not something I want to hear. Like, that sort of stuff is just like, whoa. So it's funny that I would say that Christians would get something more out of it, or people that are more like into the know with like what faith and prayer and devil and the truth and a Jesus, God, all that thing. Like, if you're more well versed with those diction, then you're better off than people who don't know what, like, sinning or praying, how does that connect and all that stuff. So I would definitely recommend Christians to go watch it. I would recommend people who know this stuff, or who were Christians, past Christians, what have you, or well versed in Christian stuff, to go check this out, because it definitely is sort of a slice of life as to what people back then could have been like. And I would definitely say that's an interesting viewpoint, strictly beyond just watching it because it's a horror film. But it's funny that this movie is, you know, endorsed by a satanic organization in the States. So maybe Christians are like, no, I'm not going to support that because, you know, because these guys are supporting it. But end of the day, it's a really great film in terms of just the cinematography, the cast, the lighting, soundtrack, all that jazz, setting, pacing, blah, blah, blah. I think there's really nothing wrong with it. I mean, if you know what you're going to go into, knowing the pacing is slower than your typical film, you're going to be fine. And if you are well-versed, or not well-versed, just versed with the concept of faith, prayer, faith, truth, what have you, then you'll understand what they're going through. You can connect to these people a lot more easily. And yeah, I definitely would recommend this. I mean, if I had to compare it to It Follows and The Witch, I mean, if I had to compare it to It Follows, it does break the trend of your typical horror film. It's different for sure. So if you're a horror fan, definitely check it out. And yeah, the ending, holy smokes, like just wow, just wow. Anyway, I'm not gonna say anything more because you gotta experience it yourself. Anyways, if you have seen The Witch, leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And that is all for this movie review for The Witch. Bye.